I don't think I'm on President Obama's Christmas card list anymore, but that's okay. I said, this is cynical. These kids only have one chance to grow up. I said, it's immoral, almost 50 years to the day of Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech, to trap these children in failing schools. But it's also hypocritical. I say it's hypocritical because you know and I know there's not a chance in the world Eric Holder or President Obama would send their children to these failing schools they're trying to force Louisiana's kids to attend. And I'm glad they have the ability to send their kids to great schools. I just want the same ability for kids in Louisiana, in Iowa, in every state of this great country. How do we get to a point where our federal government is trying to trap kids in failing schools? I'd argue this goes back to something that President Clinton said in the 90s. Remember, he said the era of big government is over. Well, never before has somebody been so wrong about something so important in our modern political history. You know, David Axelrod actually said something I agree with. He was trying to defend President Obama in the middle of one of these scandals. There have been so many, it's hard to keep track, but this is what he said to defend President Obama. He said the federal government is so vast, so expansive, the president couldn't possibly be responsible. You know, he's exactly right. That's the problem. The government is too vast and too expansive. We have seen things that I never would have believed would have happened in the United States of America. If I could build a time machine and go back in time, if I were standing in front of you years ago before President Obama had taken office, and if I asked you, do you really believe that the federal government is going to run up a $17 trillion debt? Would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said, do you really believe the federal government is going to use the IRS to go after conservative groups because of their beliefs, would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said, would you really believe the Department of Justice would try to take away guns from law-abiding citizens while they provide guns to Mexican drug cartels and Fast and Furious? Would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said, you really believe they'll create a new expensive entitlement program, putting bureaucrats between our doctors and our patients when we can't afford the government we've got, would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said, would you really believe when our ambassador was killed in Libya, they would blame it on a YouTube video? Would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said that our Secretary of State, Secretary Clinton, would get so exasperated with Congress and the Senate for asking her about this, she would actually say, what difference does it make? Would you have believed me? No. If I'd gone back in time and said the Department of Justice would be spying on the AP reporters and the press, would you have believed me? No. And here's perhaps one of the most dangerous overreaches of federal government power. Time and time again, we think we've seen the worst. We now have the federal government intruding into our religious liberty. One of the most dangerous assaults on the constitutional freedoms recognized by our founding fathers. Can you really believe that the Obama administration is now at the Supreme Court threatening the Green family and Hobby Lobby with fines of up to $1.3 million a day, simply because they don't want to use their money to buy abortifacients for their employees? I'm here to tell you one of the most important fights we face as a country is to stand up for our First Amendment religious liberty rights. I knew the president didn't like our Second Amendment rights. I thought he was okay with the First Amendment rights. I guess he doesn't like those either. This president has the wrong idea of religious liberty. He thinks it starts and ends in the pews on Sunday morning. What President Obama doesn't seem to understand, and we need to send this message loudly and clearly to the White House, to the Supreme Court, to every judge, every courtroom across America. The United States of America did not create religious liberty. Religious liberty created the United States of America. controversy over the Duck Dynasty family a few months ago. That's right. And by the way, the episode last Wednesday was pretty good if you haven't seen it. One of their first defenders was the governor of Louisiana. Now, you may have thought I defended them simply because the Robertson family is from Louisiana. You may have thought I defended them simply because they're friends of mine. You may have thought I defended them because my little boys are big fans. You may have thought of defending them because, by the way, I think it's great to have a TV show where you can actually watch it with your family. You don't have to worry about the language and the images and all that other nonsense that comes out. But no, the reason I defended them is this. I am tired of the left. I'm tired of their hypocrisy. I'm tired of them saying they tolerate debate and dissent. The reality is this. They do tolerate debate and dissent for everybody except for those that have the temerity to disagree with it. By the way, I don't think it's any coincidence the assaults on religious liberty happen to be focused on evangelical Christians in our society. You know, I'm not generally in favor of lawsuits, but there is one lawsuit I would endorse. We like to say that President Obama is a smart man. We like to call him a constitutional scholar. I know he spent 3 years at Harvard Law School. I would encourage and recommend to him that he sues Harvard Law School to get his tuition money back. I'm not sure what he learned while he was there. I thought it was pretty ironic. A few months ago at the National Prayer Breakfast, the president spoke eloquently about the war on religious liberty, on Christians being persecuted overseas. And let's be clear, there's a silent war on religious liberty at home in America. There's a shooting war overseas. There are men and women of their faith being killed, being executed, being tortured for those beliefs overseas. And I'm not trying to compare the two. But it was disjointing to hear the president get up there and speak so eloquently about the need to protect the rights of religious liberty, the freedoms, the ability of Christians to worship on an international basis. I don't think he realized the irony that yet once again there's a Grand Canyon-sized gap between what he says and what he does right here at home. But if you didn't get to hear his speech, I'll summarize it for you. President Obama basically said this: if you like your religious liberty, you can keep your religious liberty. As I close, I just want to focus on the latest piece of insanity that now defines our foreign policy. Apparently, the president has adopted a catch and release program when it comes to terrorists. Now, as I wrap up, I want to ask, I've got just 3 questions I want to ask, and I need to hear. I want to make sure I understand. I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to hear your response to these. The first question I've got for you is this. Do you think the President of the United States should set the precedent that we now negotiate with terrorists? Do you think that the President of the United States should just unilaterally decide when and how he wants to obey or break the United States laws and Constitution? Do you think the President of the United States should release 5 terrorists? 5 terrorists who are opposed not only to the United States of America, but our way of life, so they can go back and rejoin the fight against Americans? You know, as I think about this, it leads me to one inescapable, just difficult question. And I want your opinion on this as well. Are we witnessing the most liberal, most ideologically extreme administration we have seen in our lifetimes right here in the United States of America? Or are we witnessing the most incompetent administration we have witnessed in our lifetime right here in these United States of America? I've thought about this long and hard. This is a tough question, kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg? The only answer I've been able to come up with, the best answer, actually comes from Secretary Clinton herself. To quote our secretary, "What difference does it make?" But I'm here to tell you, there is a revolution brewing. I'm a complete optimist about the future of these United States of America. Our founding fathers trusted not in the brilliance of our federal government, not in the beautiful buildings and monuments of Washington, D.C. They trusted in the brilliance of a free people. They knew if you got the government out of the way, if you freed the entrepreneurial spirit and the everyday love and hard work of moms and dads, that truly the American dream would be alive and well. They knew and we know that we will leave more opportunities to our children than we inherited from our parents. I know this. There is a rebellion brewing in these United States of America. The people don't want incremental change. We want a hostile takeover of Washington, D.C. Our best days are ahead of us. God bless the United States of America.